Good morning, children. Now that you have opted English literature, there are a few literary terms which you will come across very frequently and which will be new to you. So let us discuss some of them. Today we shall talk about what is irony. Okay? Now irony is a literary technique originally used in Greek tragedy, by which the full significance of a character's words or actions is made clear to the audience or reader, although it is unknown to the character himself. In irony, words are used in such a way that their intended meaning is different from the actual meaning of the words. It may also be a situation that ends up in quite a different way than what is generally anticipated. In simple words, irony is a difference between appearance and reality, a difference between what is before you and what actually the situation is. Now, some common examples of irony we can take up, like, look at this sentence: I posted a video on YouTube about how boring and useless YouTube is. So you're getting the irony. Let us take one more. The doctor is as kind-hearted as a wolf. So here the intended meaning is very clear: kind-hearted and wolf. It is so very ironical. Another example can be: the desert was as cool as a bed of burning coals. This is also ironical. And let us take one more example. Our new boss was as friendly as a shark. Clear? Now, let us also discuss about various types of ironies. First of all, let us see what is verbal irony. Now, verbal irony takes place when the speaker says something in contrast to his or her actual meaning. Here the speaker often makes a statement that seems very direct, yet indicates that the opposite in fact is true, or what the speaker really means. Example: when a man whose plane is going down says, "Well, isn't this nice?" So clearly the plane crash is anything but nice, and thus this statement conveys the opposite of the person's true feelings. Now, unlike dramatic and situational irony, verbal irony is always intentional. Intentional means purposely on the part of the speaker. Verbal irony can also consist of ironic similes. I told you similes are comparisons in which two things are not alike at all. Example: as soft as sandpaper. Her hands or her palms were as soft as sandpaper. So these are two contrary things. Or when one says as warm as ice, ICE. Getting it? So these were examples of verbal irony. Another type of irony is dramatic irony. Now, this dramatic irony occurs when the audience has more information than one or more characters in a work of literature. Dramatic irony is an important stylistic device which is used in plays, movies, theatres, and sometimes in poetry also. For example, the audience knows that a character is going to be murdered. Now, one particular character or others may not be aware of these facts. Hence, the words and actions of the characters would suggest a different meaning to the audience from what they indicate to the rest of the characters and the story. Thus, it creates intense suspense as well as humor. For example, in Macbeth, written by William Shakespeare, we have the lines, "There is no art to find the mind's construction in the face. He was a gentleman on whom I built an absolute trust." So here in this case, Duncan says that he trusts Macbeth, not knowing about the prophecy of witches that Macbeth is going to be the king, and that Macbeth himself would kill him, means Duncan. Whereas the audience knows about the prophecy very well. So this is known as dramatic irony. Another type of irony is the situational irony. It occurs when an actual result of a situation is totally different from what we expect, what one would expect. Example in the poem The Gift of the Magi, a short story by O. Henry. It is a short story, The Gift of the Magi, written by O. Henry. I hope you all have studied it, read it during your school days, in which a wife sells her hair to buy a watch chain, and her husband sells his watch to buy her combs for her hair. Now both have made sacrifices to buy gifts for one another, but in the end we see that the gifts are useless. The real gift is how much they are willing to sacrifice for each other. So these were the types of ironies, the use of irony that a poet or a dramatist or a writer uses in his work of literature.